Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here on African Confessions. The following story that you're going to be listening to, it comes from a translation of a message that I received. But before I read that confession, if you still remember that application that I always spoke about that we have been developing, so the application is ready. It is good that it saves your data because you won't be seeing the face. You will just be listening to the confession, just the picture like you said you wanted, and you can comment as anonymous. If you have a problem, you can just post your own story as anonymous as well. And to those that always wanted some of the phone numbers of the people that do send their stories, there is no need now for you to come to me and you have to wait like forever. You can just go in the comment section and speak directly to the person that would have sent their confession. So please, we are asking for your support. You can download it. If you are using Android, go to your Play Store and search for Trenza Play. So it's Trend ZA, then Play, and you can see the application and you can download it. But I'll also put the link right down below in the comment section as well as in the description box. Let us try to grow this platform. Okay, so the message that I have for you, it reads like this. Hello, how are you? Can you please post my own story as hidden identity? I am a man that is in big trouble because of what happened. My wife committed suicide because I was cheating on her. Please post me as hidden identity. I am a 39-year-old man. I do live in Mavukum. I do not have kids. Brother Nashi, I always follow your channel. So today I have decided to share my story. And my story, it goes on like this. I married my wife when I was 27. At that time, things were not going well. I was broke. My business of fridge repair was down. My life became so difficult. It was not easy for me to find food for my wife to feed. My wife got pregnant. My life became so hard. I then decided to move from Mavuku, where I was staying, a township which is in Harare, to my village which is in Kuruwe. I started to stay with my parents. As time went by, my wife gave birth to a baby boy. I was so excited to be a father. One day, the supervisor at our company, because we were selling fruits and vegetables, called me. He said that they needed a fridge repair because their fridge at their company stopped working. I was in need of a job, so I then used that opportunity. I then went back to Harare. I started staying in GCPT, where the fruits and the vegetables company is located. I then got a contract. I started repairing the fridge. I started to work. The company paid for the good job that I had done. I started to stay with my friends in Mavukum whilst I was looking for my own room to rent. Within a week, I found a one room to rent. My business started to boost. My wife came as time went by. When I was 30, my wife got pregnant. She gave birth to a beautiful baby girl. My wife told me that she was not comfortable to live in one room with two kids, so she went back to the village in Kuruwe. My wife started to stay with my own mother. As time went by, when my wife was in the village, I fell in love with a girl stayed near my house. The girl started to come to my house to spend time with me. One day, my wife paid me a visit without telling me that she was coming. She caught me red-handed in my room with a girl. I tried to apologize. She did not listen. She was angry. Then she left. She went back to the village. My wife told my sister everything about what I did to her. When my wife left, I thought to follow her to the village to apologize for the crime that I had committed. Then I got busy at my workplace. It was during the raining season. My mother and my sister woke up early. They went to the farm, to our field, which is very far from our house. My wife left the house with the kids. 3 days after my wife caught me red-handed with my girlfriend, my wife, she took an axe and she cut off the heads of all of our kids. When she saw that she had killed the kids, she ran and she threw herself in this other old well, trying to kill herself. Our neighbors saw her. The neighbors looked for the helpers, and there were men from the village who tried to drag my wife from that well, but when they pulled her out, she was almost dead. They tried to rush her to the hospital, but it was too late. My wife, she passed away when they were taking her to the hospital. So my mother and my sister, we are still staying at the same farm. One of my neighbors has since told me that she saw the spirit of my late wife, and I thought that maybe he was just joking, talking about things that he does not know. Most of the villagers in the farms where we are staying in the farms which they call Minda Mirefu. These were the farms that used to belong to white people, and they were taken back by the government. So we were given those farms. We call them Minda Mirefu. That is where we are staying. The only problem that I am facing right now is that the woman that I was cheating with, that woman, she has been threatening to commit suicide unless if I bring her to my house. And I have been told that once I take that woman, the husband of that woman has said that he wants to kill me. So I really do not know what am I supposed to do. I am scared right now. If this woman end up taking her life, it means that it will be another woman that would have committed suicide, all because of me. And I am scared that if I take this woman to make her to be my wife, then her husband, as he has been telling people, he has been saying that if I stay with his wife, then he is going to kill me. I really do not know where to run to. I have since visited a traditional healer who has told me that in order for my wife, for her spirit to rest in eternal peace, I need to pay her relatives 8 cows. 8 cows. Where can I get 8 cows when I am 8 cows on my own? I can never even afford to get all of those cattle to give to her family. I do not have kids anymore. My wife is dead. My kids have since passed away. I want to move on with my life, but I'm scared because of what happened. My wife committed suicide. My advice to other men out there, please do not cheat on your wives, especially if your wife have sacrificed so much for you. I started cheated on my wife because I had managed to buy a small second hand on the feet that we wanted to use in our business. And as you know, our Zimbabwean women and petrol, wherever they smell the smell of petrol, then they are going to be there. When I did not have a car, I would approach a woman. I would tell her that I am in love with him. But ever since I bought that car, it only brought problems in my life. If only I had listened to my wife when she had said, instead of buying this car, how about we start by buying a house first? But I wanted to show people that I had now managed to make it in life. And as a man, the only way that you can show people that you are now living a comfortable life is by buying a car. I bought a car even though I did not even have a license. This is my story. I need advice. Do I move in with this woman because she has been threatening me? She always sends all of those pictures on my WhatsApp of rat poison, cockroach poison, knives, a rope, saying that if you do not allow me to come and stay with you, with your mother, so that I can give you children, I'm going to kill myself. And she is a married woman, by the way. Is this not the spirit of my wife that is forcing this woman to say all of these things? Please help. Dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by one of our brother right there. Strange things indeed, they do happen in this world. Then there is another message that I received. The message was sent to me by one of our brother who is saying that he is now living overseas. He said, just say that I am now staying in America, but that is not where I am. The message that he sent to me reads like this. Hello, Brother Nanshi, how are you? Can you please post my own story as hidden identity? I am a Zimbabwean man and I am aged 42 years old. I am currently staying here in America and I do not want you to share my phone numbers with anyone, but I've come here to confess to you that I was part of a Dubarn syndicate. This is a syndicate of traditional healers. Some of them are well-known traditional healers that use other people. They would use us mostly that were from Zim because we were desperate. We only worked once with 2 South African men who did not even know that we were chopping up the body parts of a person that had been brought from Mozambique already dead. They thought that maybe this was some form of game meat that we were chopping up, but these were body parts. This is how I started working for this syndicate that deals in body parts for rituals. I arrived in South Africa. Remember those days when life was very hard in Zim. There was no food. There was no one who could work because even your boss was also struggling. I used to work as a gardener. The man that I was working for, he had a very kind heart. He told me that he wanted to sell his property because he wanted to move out of Zim. I then said, what am I going to do here? I heard that there were people that were going to Botswana. I tried, but Botswana refused me. We were chased by a lion when we were in Plum Tree, and I knew that this was the Lord telling me that I am not supposed to go to Botswana. I returned back to Harare, even though I was a gardener, but I used to work as a part-time teacher as well. So I heard that in South Africa there was a shortage of teachers in the government schools. I then said, let me go to South Africa. I then came to South Africa. I stayed in Messina, but life was very different from what I had imagined. We used to hear that in South Africa you can even pick up money even in the streets. But what greeted me was something that was different. I started to work on this other farm, and whilst I was working on that farm, I got some money. I then moved from Messina and I started staying in Johannesburg. There was this other guy who told me that he knew that there were opportunities that could be found on the farms in Cape Town, on the grape farms in Cape Town. So they went to Cape Town. I could not raise enough money as quickly as possible. I ended up migrating from Joburg, went to Dubarn. I was literally a homeless person whilst I was in Dubarn, just moving around until I was picked up by this other man who drove, those old Mercedes Vito buses. That was what he drove. He was someone that was dealing in tenders. There was this other tender that he had been dealing in, but he told me that there was some things that were happening and he was scared of losing that tender because of the way that he had gotten that tender by paying some people. So he then said to me, I want you to do a small job for me. He picked me up in the street. I went with him to one of his houses. I was taken to the garage and there was another man that was from Zim. He was wearing the butcher's uniform and there was meat that was on the table. He was busy chopping up the meat. So I also took one of those butcher knives and I started to do the same, and he taught me how to chop up the meat. I did not even know that this was a human being that we were chopping up. After this was done, I was then given some money. He asked me where I was staying. I told him that I was just a homeless person. He told me that he wanted to assist me. That guy that I was working with, he was staying at the man's plot. He had a small plot, so this was where the bodies would be brought. He wanted some of the body parts so that he can go and drop them close to the municipality, because that was where they were going to be bidding for the tender, and he won that tender. The guy was ultra rich At the farm, there were traditional healers that would come. Mainly, they would want bones. I don't know why they always wanted the bones from the fingers. That was what they wanted. I did this for a very long time, and to think about it, many people will think that I was getting a lot of money, but to tell you the truth, I was only getting paid 800 rands. This was my normal salary that I was making on a monthly basis. I never made anything when I was in South Africa, but one of the client who was a ritualist, he was the one who told me of a way to migrate from South Africa. I left South Africa and I arrived in this place where I am by boat. It took me so many months. I was smuggled at this other harbor. There was this other big ship that was going to come to America, and I got into one of those ships until I arrived here in America. Where I am, please do not tell people exactly, because I even fear for my life, and I have been in this country for a very long time. If I do get the chance, I will tell you the terrible journey that I had to take from Dubarn Harbor coming to America, hidden in one of the compartments of the ship for many months. I could not even stretch my legs. The same way that slaves were transported from Africa, that was almost the same way that I was transported from South Africa. But all that I had was the hope of making it in life. I am married now and I have kids. I got married to a woman who is a citizen of this country where I am staying, but she does not even know that her husband was once hired, and her husband used to work for, how much is it, 800 rand in US dollars. To those that know the rate, they can calculate. Maybe it will be around 35 to 40 US dollars. That is my estimation, Brother Nashi. I used to work for 40 US dollars in South Africa, chopping up body parts for some other healers there in Dubarn. They would use them as well as for the men that I was working for. Only 40 US dollars. That was how much I was getting, to prove that people in Africa, they are desperate and they are in desperate need of a savior. We picked up these two South Africans and they did it. By the end, they found out that this was what they had done. One of the guys started crying and he started vomiting. He was also given 800 that month and he left and he never came back. This is my own story. I am still tormented by the thought of the things that we used to do. And when you work for such a syndicate, they give you some charms that you use so that your heart can be strengthened. I wish and I hope that one day I'm going to write a book about it, because my story, I think it needs an entire book in order for people to understand each and everything that I did when I was in South Africa. But to swear to God, I never participated in the killing of anyone. Never. These bodies, they were only brought, they would be brought to us on that farm. So these bodies would be brought back by some cars that were working with different mortuaries that would have repatriated Mozambicans that would have died in South Africa. On their way back, they would bring some dead bodies. How they used to smuggle them, I do not even know. There was even one big company. We once got a delivery from them of a Mozambican woman that had died in Tete. Dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by one of our brother. Strange things indeed they do happen in this world. Let us try to speak with him in the comment section. Also, a reminder, you can download our app now on the Play Store.